part of the challenge that we had was we had to create a Welsh locker room in the middle of, LA in a matter of like 2 days.
How many times frantically early on did you Google Welsh locker room in LA?
Seriously.
To act is to deceive.
This commercial, simply put, is the best I've seen in, well, forever.
Why?
55 seconds of pure joy. Sir Anthony Hopkins, Wrexham AFC, and Stoke Cold Brew.
Now, hear me roar!
All my favourite food groups represented in one place, and on top of the concept and the flawless execution, just an incredible juxtaposition between Wrexham, a Welsh football club that spent a decade and a half clawing and scratching its way from the fifth tier of English football into League Two, and the big game. That unstoppable combination of American athleticism, celebrity flexing, and at least one overserved Kelsey brother between Wrexham's tiny Stoke Ras and Las Vegas's Allegiant Stadium with its 65,000 person capacity. It's almost bigger than the entire city of Wrexham itself. And I wanted to go deep on this beauty, so I'm elated to be able to speak to the director, a cinematographer and editor who's helping the remarkable story of Wrexham as a town, as a community, as a football club to a worldwide audience. Some way to follow up landing 2 Emmys for his work on Welcome to Wrexham by dropping this tiny jewel of epic wonder. I raise my Stoke Cold Brew to Brian Rowland.
Wow. That was quite the intro, Raj. Thank you.
Brian, it's quite the commercial. I want to break down every aspect with you and the making of it. But first, at the heart of this mini epic ballad is a deep and abiding love for and true appreciation of the heart and soul of Wrexham. And I grew up 40 minutes from there, but you're from Utah, a world away, baby. You are, I should be clear, one of the showrunners of Welcome to Wrexham, Emmy Award winning, and are currently engrossed in the making of season 3. But before that show came into your life, what did you know of the city, the remarkable people that live there, and what have you learned in investing yourself in this show?
I had heard nothing of Wrexham. All I remember was being on a call, hearing that Ryan Reynolds, essentially my boss, but that he was going to be acquiring this football club in the UK, and those were all things I didn't know anything about. Wrexham, I didn't know anything about the town. I didn't know anything about football at all. I haven't followed it ever. My whole life, I knew nothing about it. And I just remember thinking, this is crazy. I don't know what are we going to do with this? This is nuts. And so, this has been very much just kind of jumping into the deep end, just trying to figure out what this is all about. But it's also just been just the most thrilling thing of my life that I've been involved with.
To this commercial, and I'm curious to know, at what point do you become part of this project? What exactly do you inherit? And what were your initial emotions that you experienced as you thought about this opportunity?
My involvement started when the script was presented to me. Like, this thing was a buttoned up deal when it fell in my lap. They said, here's the script that we want to shoot, and we've got Sir Anthony Hopkins coming. And as soon as I saw that and I read the script, I thought, this is incredible. Of course I want to do this and be a part of this.
Oh, they're pulling you in and being like, Brian, here's the storyboards.
It's not even the storyboards. It was just kind of the one buttoned up script. And what we typically do is we will take these ideas and we'll come in and say, okay, well, we've got this time with in this case, Sir Anthony. We will come up with a bunch of different ideas that we try to shoot in the moment as well, and a bunch of different lines and a bunch of different things, because you never really know, especially with comedy, how things are going to land. And so that's typically kind of how we do things.
So when you get this script and you're looking at it, what is your dominant emotion? Are you like, oh my Lord, this is a madness? Or you're like, yes, let's do this. I was born for this moment. Or was it something in between?
Oh, my first take was, I can't believe I get to direct Sir Anthony Hopkins. That was it. For me, that was it. I said, I will do anything to be in the room to actually just to be able to just kind of learn and just see what his process is. This whole thing for me is just trying to like improve the craft and this and that, and talk about no better person to kind of learn from than Sir Anthony Hopkins. So that was my take, was I get to spend a couple hours with this guy. I mean, come on.
So let's revel in this. Seems we're diving on in. The commercial features, yes, legendary actor and eternal fava bean enthusiast, Sir Anthony Hopkins, who's originally from South Wales, from Port Talbot, a blue-collar steel-making town about 140 miles south of Wrexham. Brian, why him? How him?
Great question. The writers of the piece, they were brainstorming some different ideas, and this was the first one and the biggest one that they honestly thought we don't have a chance of getting him, but this is a fun idea. And then after the fact, they found out about the tweet. And I don't know if you remember the tweet, but this was back when we had won the championship. Ryan tweeted, "Everything I own smells like champagne, beer, and glasses." And then Sir Anthony Hopkins replied to that tweet and he says, "You are now an honorary Welsh boyo." And so once we saw that he had replied to a tweet from Ryan, we thought, okay, maybe there's a chance that this could happen. So
this is the Welsh version of a butterfly flaps its wings over there with a very funny Sir Anthony Hopkins tweet. But what happens in between? Because honestly, I'm like, Christian Bale could have done it, but he's so method, he probably would have eaten a flamethrower so he could understand the mechanics of being a dragon. So he does this tweet, which you guys just internalize as, oh, Sir Anthony Hopkins wants to do a Stoke commercial for Wrexham Football Club. What happens in between? Did you have to sell Sir Anthony on the experience, or was he just all in from the jump?
No, he was all in. He was all in, and I honestly was kind of shocked because, I mean, it's a pretty big departure, from what we're used to seeing him do, which is maybe one reason why he was really attracted to doing it. I can't speak for him, but maybe that's one reason he wanted to do it, because it was a departure and because it was fun. And I'll tell you, when he showed up on set, he had nothing but ideas, really fun ideas. I wish you could see the outtakes. He was going. He went full Shakespeare into the mirror when he was talking. He was coming up with so many funny different things. We could have cut this thing so many different ways and it would have landed, because he was giving us just gold the entire time.
You thought he was giving you Shakespeare. I imagine he thought he was giving you Phil Parkinson. But with your agency, sometimes it's so hard to know where the Shakespeare ends and where your Phil Parkinson begins. But with your agency, Maximum Effort, and being part of the team for Welcome to Wrexham, you've directed shoots involving celebrities, like Hugh Jackman, and the icon of icons, the Kool-Aid Man, along with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney and the rest of the Welcome to Wrexham team. So does it still affect you when someone of the heft, of the girth, of the weight, of the legend of Sir Anthony Hopkins is sitting right there in front of you?
No, of course. Oh my gosh. I have kind of gotten to the point where I haven't gotten super starstruck lately, but as soon as I read that he was on board, butterflies, I was genuinely nervous, and I don't really get nervous on set because you're kind of in work mode and this and that. But I mean, he's one of the main reasons I even got into the business. He's just been an inspiration for my whole life.
But suddenly you're in the pre-pro meeting. It's you and it's Sir Anthony Hopkins. By the way, do you have to call him Sir?
So that was the big question I had, right? So before we started, I said, I don't know. I've never worked with the real life knight before. Yes. And do I call him Sir? Like, what is the protocol here? And he made it very clear, call me Tony, which, I mean, come on.
Yes, we just had Sir Patrick Stewart on and we were told, call him Sir Patrick first so that he can tell you, don't call me Sir Patrick, call
That's
me
great.
Pat. I love that. But I do believe in this pre-pro meeting, you got a pep talk from your hero almost instantly, right?
I did. So we had a few minutes in between a take, and I sat down next to him, and he says, well, tell me, are you going to work on a movie? And I said, I haven't worked on a movie yet. But I said, that's been my great white whale. I've been really wanting to do that. And he just went into full, you can do this. You need to read this book, and this book. And then he actually followed up with me later in an email. It was incredible. So yeah, he's like, yes, you can accomplish this. And I mean, my gosh, I'm still floating.
A pep talk from Sir Anthony Hopkins must be the peppiest of pep talks. But Brian, take us into the moment. first moment on set. In these commercials, there's so many people around, from the brand, from the agency, and then suddenly it's you and him with all like an audience around you. What did it feel like when you were tasked with getting Sir Anthony Hopkins to start working? How did he get into character as Sir Anthony Hopkins of the commercial?
He took it really serious. He was in character. He was Rex, he never broke that moment. The first thing we shot with him was actually in the mirror, that first shot. It was interesting because it was hard to say, let's try another one, because he just kind of nailed it,
And also, because it's Sir Anthony bloody Hopkins.
Can we try a different one where it's a little more like that? Yeah, no, it was, and then he just kind of had a bunch of different ideas. We went with it. And then we actually started with a bunch of the Shakespeare stuff, because he had a bunch of the Shakespeare lines that were just really funny. He went into Hamlet. He went into some King Lear stuff, and just a few little lines here and there.
When I think of Stoke Cold Brew Coffee, I think instantly of to die, to sleep, to perchance to dream.
Wow. He may have said that. I don't know. But the biggest trick for me was just, how do we come up with some new stuff for him to deliver? Because it was just every single time it was like, okay, well, we got it. I guess we'll move on,
I do need to ask you about some specific lines.
To act is to deceive.
To act is to deceive.
When, again, this all credit going back to Teddy and to Fraser when they were writing these lines. I mean, they were going big, right? As far as how self-important and all this stuff could you go. And the thing that was great was that Sir Anthony was all in on that, and he went big with us. And so what actually ended up on screen was pretty much what Teddy and Fraser had on the page.
He leans in, locks eyes with his own reflection in that mirror, and then asks,
Who are you?
That line was incredible. I have watched it probably 12,000 times. Was that scripted, or was that improvisation?
That was improvisation. That was improvisation. I remember in between some takes, Ryan Reynolds' creative partner, George, just ran up and whispered in my ear that line, "Who are you?" And I just leaned into Tony and said, Can you give this for me?
I mean, that line, Brian, it is just a memeable wonder. But in context, it's perfection.
Oh, it's so great. And coming from him, it's so, so fun. Part of the challenge that we had was we had to create a Welsh locker room in the middle of, LA in a matter of like 2 days, because we knew Sir Anthony was going to deliver. That wasn't going to be an issue. We knew our cameras, that was going to look good, but could we put together this, this location in this very, very short amount of time?
How many times frantically early on did you Google Welsh locker room in LA?
Seriously, like honestly, those are the challenges. Like, hey, team, we've got 2 days. We got to figure out how we're going to build this or create this. And luckily, we found some red lockers, and then we built a wall, and then it's all this stuff. And then we had everybody that had been to a Wrexham game, that had any Wrexham swag, any jerseys or anything that we could kind of populate that locker room to make it feel like it was a Wrexham locker room. So that was kind of some of the unique challenges that you never really think of.
Can you share with us some of the other lines that you tried or discarded, even though you love them, they were lost?
Oh my gosh, we had him. One of the things we do is we come up with a ton of different really fun lines in the moment, right? We feed it to him, and then if he's got ideas, he goes back, and then so I'll read through a couple of these that were just kind of fun. Here's the actual line, the way it was scripted. He says, to act is to deceive, and to deceive, one must forget oneself. We have a fathomless lake of unconsciousness just beneath our skulls. But this character, he has me dive even deeper into the primal oil well of the soul. He demands all of this and a bloody bold cup of Stoke. That was the original line before we started playing.
Can I just say, just like Blade Runner is best seen with the director's cut, there does need to, clearly, as this hint of script suggests, there does need to be a 1 hour, 40-minute version of this commercial. The Red Dragon, Brian the director's cut. My lord, just give me that line again, because I don't know what it means, but I think it's life-changing.
It's so great. No, I know. And I'll tell you, the cut exists, and there was a lot of back and forth on what do we cut out of this, because it's just all so fun. You want to hear some other alts? Okay. I perform for the pleasure of 1,000 eyes glimmering in wonder, for they know not what's next. Another one was, this beast cannot be tamed, only quelled for a while. And he says, ironically, it's the cold brew that bursts the fire-breathing dragon. And that was his favorite. And that's what we went with at the very end, which I thought was really, really fun. I mean, come on. This is just playing. We're just in a sandbox with the greatest actor, one of the greatest actors of our generation, and just playing in this Wrexham world. It was just crazy. I mean, just crazy. Just so much fun.
But we're just getting started. The instrumental score swells as Sir Anthony yells,
Now, hear me roar!
before putting on the head of Wrexham's mascot, Wrex the dragon, and then he enthusiastically continues in the voiceover saying,
They love me! Roar!
Was there a moment as he's reading these lines, pretending to be a, furry football mascot, that it just felt surreal to you?
Oh, yeah. So my biggest worry as the director is, like, I knew that we needed to get some lines of him yelling as if he was in, because we've got the mascot, this footage of the mascot running around, and we wanted to get him like really like yelling and really into it. So I saved those lines until the very end of the shoot to hope, like in the hopes that at that point he was all in, he's super excited, because I didn't know how the day was going to go originally. And so those lines where he was just yelling all in, that was the last thing recorded, and he didn't even skip a beat, to the point where I thought we had it. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant, amazing, we've got it. And he's like, no, hold on, Brian, I want to do one more. And that one more is the one that actually made it in the cut. But come on.
What do you think it was in his mind retrospectively where you realized you thought you got it? I mean, it's Sir Anthony Hopkins, so you're not going to tell him he's not got it. What do you think it was in this man, after doing it over and over and over, that he still felt, no, I think I can give more?
Great question, because I was asking myself the same thing when he's like, I want to go again. I'm like, great, I'll do it. I don't know what you're going to do better, but amazing. We'll do it. And so, but I remember going through the takes after the fact, and you can hear like a real like deep commitment in that second take that wasn't there as much in the first, but he knew. I mean, again, when I spoke with him, when he first showed up to set, while he was in the makeup room, I was telling him, I said, listen, I'm just excited to learn today. I mean, honestly, it's a rare treat for me.
This is a man who's played King Lear, the remains of the days James Stephens, bloody Hannibal Lecter, and you're watching him. You've just helped him become Wrex the dragon.
I don't know if I helped him do much. I think I pointed the camera in the right direction, and I said action, and I just let him be Wrex in front of camera, and that's the honest truth. I mean, my gosh,
let him unleash his inner Wrex.
That was it.
You know, when you're there and you're hearing him, when you're saying go big and he goes bigger, is it like one of those music documentaries where you're like behind the soundboards while ABBA are recording Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight, and you're just looking at each other, fiddling the knobs, looking and just vibing, going, this is the real stuff. What we're doing right now, we can't believe it.
Yeah, no, it's the honest truth. It's that thing where he's bringing a lifetime of experience and knowledge and understanding. And it was the biggest challenge for me to go, what can we add to that? How can we make it bigger or anything like that? Because he was pretty much self-policing at that point, he knows he can go bigger, so he's going to, and he's not going to hesitate. So, I mean, again, just kind of watching a master at work. Yeah, like pinch me. I just want to learn as much as I can. So,
what was the main lesson that you did learn, Brian?
I think for me, he shows up, you know that he brings a gravity with him, right? As far as people that are working with him for the first time, you'd think that he'd understand that people are maybe nervous to kind of be with him and work with him. But what I learned was just how he was able to bring himself down to a level where you could just hang out, just chat with him and communicate with him, and where you didn't feel like you were having to speak up or having to impress him with anything. He just wanted to be on the crew and he understood his role of what he was trying to do there. And he was just a part of the team. And he understood that as part of being the team, it was making others feel comfortable around him. And just, that's not the way it is all the time on set with people showing up, because you can have talent that's showing up that is, quite honestly, they make it really, really difficult. Or they'll show up very, very late, or they're upset, and that kind of trickles down. But when you have somebody that loves what they do, that can't help but translate all the way down the entire crew to where everybody is relaxed and everybody is doing their best work. But it takes a team, and he really brings out the best in the team. And I hope I can continue to do that in my career.
It's just the Paul Mullen of acting. How did you leave it when you finished shooting for the day? Did Sir Anthony leave you of any parting wisdom before he left?
He left me with his email, and that was the best gift I could have ever gotten. that was it. It was that conversation around basically, don't let anything get in the way of pursuing your dreams. It was that I got back to the hotel. First phone call was to my wife, and I just said, those Instagram posts that he's always posting about being inspirational? He's like that in real life. That's what he's like. And I said he really encouraged me about writing and this and that. And he shared a really fascinating story about his journey in painting. Because he paints now. I don't know if you know that, but he paints. But he shared a story of an artist that came over, and Sir Anthony was embarrassed to show him some of this work that he had done. And the artist basically says, "No, how dare you? Never be ashamed of what you're creating. This is your creation, and don't be ashamed of it and pursue it." And he said that was a big lesson that he learned. He says, "Don't apologize for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to become." And what an incredible lesson.
The artist was Picasso, and his email is satoni3373@aol.com. Brian, when this commercial premieres and people finally get to experience this minute of wonder and that incredible payoff, what do you hope the audience feels when it's over emotionally?
What I genuinely hope, selfishly, and I love Stoke's integration with Wrexham. I'm so deeply appreciative of them. But what I really hope the takeaway of this, and this has kind of been my personal journey of understanding what Wrexham is all about, right, is in those few seconds that they can see Wrex going up and down that field, that they can catch some of the expressions in the people in the crowd. Because there is a passion in Wrexham that is absolutely contagious and a beautiful thing to behold first person. So I'm hoping a little bit of that pixie dust from Wrexham can kind of spread a little bit, where people can kind of look at it and go, what's going on here? What's really happening here? Really start to get some brief understanding of just, if they don't know, maybe they should look into it a little bit, because I believe what we're doing with Welcome to Wrexham is really important, and we're telling some really, really beautiful stories. It goes so far beyond football. This is a story that people are excited about. This is real life. This is people have a passion about this like I've never experienced with anything before. And it's something that brands and people want to be a part of. And like Ryan said, he's Ryan Reynolds, sorry. He said earlier, this is in the documentary last season, he talked about, he says, "Listen, we are open for business. And for anybody that wants to be a part of this story, let's go." And so that's where Stoke came in, and what an amazing partner. And this is also, as far as getting a commercial like this done, you've got to have a champion like Stoke, because I got to say, in the commercial world, it really is a world where a lot of amazing ideas go to die, because there's so many places on that approval process. Once you finish something that you're really passionate about, can just kind of die. But boy, Stoke, they were so incredible to be a part of this thing. So this thing moved really quickly, and they were just the champion through the whole thing. So
I mean, it's beautiful, and it should be said again, this is playing during the biggest TV audience of the year by far. It will play to some people, many people who are already immersed in Wrexham's story. Some are a regular Welcome to Wrexham viewers, some who will not know what is about to hit them, some, Stoke coffee drinkers, some Stoke coffee drinkers to be. I am fascinated though, because you've come to know them through. What about the diehard Wrexham fans, those who travel week in, week out, wherever the team play around the nation? What do you want them to feel as they see their team, their stadium, their cauldron, their passion showcased during this bowl of bowls?
I think this is going to be a moment for them that will be so significant, because now on the world stage, on the biggest game, we get to show Wrexham and we get to show Sir Anthony Hopkins playing the role of his lifetime. I mean, I hope there is a sense of pride that, quite frankly, the folks at Wrexham can really embrace and really just enjoy the moment and just take great pride in it. You know what? Because they have earned it.
One last question for you, and I wish it was Sir Anthony's. Who are you? But I'll settle for this. What does it mean for you, Brian, and your agency to have done this professionally, to have crafted this mini juggernaut that's going to play before all those eyes during the big one, when cultural moments, cultural history, like Apple's 1984 commercial, Snickers gave us Betty White, Coca-Cola's Hey Kid, Catch This, forged their way into the zeitgeist?
No, it's a great question. So for me, I've been with Maximum Effort kind of since day one almost, and working on a lot of different commercials and this and that. And we've talked a lot about a Super Bowl spot here and there, and it's been in the discussion here and there. And for the way this one landed and how it landed, and the fact that it's this one, and that it's a nod and an introduction almost to the world, to Wrexham, it happened in such a perfect way that I am so proud to be a part of. There's a line at the very end of season 2
of Welcome to Wrexham.
Of Welcome to Wrexham, yes, where the parade has happened and you hear the announcer. He says a line that is so powerful where he says, "Football writes the greatest scripts." And for me, that is what Wrexham is all about. We think we can plan all this stuff. We think we can plan our lives out. We think we can write the best commercial, but the magic happens when you just let things play out. And that's very much how this piece came together. We just let it play out, and the pieces fell together, and we got kind of that lightning in a bottle moment that's just once in a lifetime type thing to be a part of. So an absolute honor to be a part of.
Somewhat belatedly, I say spoiler alert for those of you who have not seen the end of Welcome to Wrexham season 2. Wrexham do get promoted to the Football League. But Brian, I love that, talking about how you cannot control things, but wonders can occur. And I do raise my glass of Stoke Cold Brew coffee to Sir Anthony Hopkins and to you. And if Wrexham win League 2, your team could have one of the most remarkable trebles in football history, a title, the Emmys, and a National Advertising Award.
Yeah, boy, my gosh. I try not to get too is it all downhill from here? Because we're riding pretty high, I don't want to jinx it. So I don't want to jinx it. Let's not jinx it.
Champions of the Cleos. You'll never sing that. Brian, one last task before you go. We're going to play the whole commercial now, so that people can revel in it one last time. Can you just do the honors and introduce us to the complete work that we're about to see?
Well, I hope you enjoy this 55 seconds of something that I got to say is one of the most incredible things I've ever been a part of. And I think I will just let Sir Anthony take it from here.
To act is to deceive. And to deceive, one must forget oneself.
Why?
Every metamorphosis is demanding, but to become this beast, well, that requires a little extra kick. Yes. Now, hear me roar! This is what they came to see! Ironically, it is the cold brew that births the fire-breathing dragon. Yes.
Second half is starting, Tony.
Stoke Cold Brew Coffee.